Okay, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg, which is the title I decided on. Kind of a mix of a couple ideas I got, and the title doesn't really matter at all, so whatever. So we're going to be playing some Dark Souls today, which I know is not incredibly casual, and it's probably only going to cause me to die a whole bunch, but I don't know, it's what I felt like playing, so that's what this series is about. This is the character that I started for Mangg Souls Casual Edition, but then that video failed, so we're just going to keep playing with it. The goal is it's going to be a dex build, and the goal is to get the great scythe from the catacombs, but I couldn't survive it, partly because of this shitty weapon. And you can see how terrible this is. If I could get a Balder side sword, that'd be pretty sweet. So yeah, it's Sunday today. I just got back from a lovely brunch, and there is a football game going on, which is why I'm doing this. And then after it's over, we're having board game day, so I figured in the interim, might as well hang with Mangg for a little while. Wow, fail. See, that's why longsword's good. It's got a great moveset. You get that thrust move, that's solid. And just own. So yeah, this is like the first thing I recorded in like 6 days, I think. So it's just kind of a really slow time, and you know, I could have done Zelda, but you know I like to space those out. I did make a unofficial trailer for Shadows of Mordor, which I hope anybody that was interested did see it. I upload the trailers and stuff to the old channel, Mangg, because I don't care if I get copyright strikes over there. I like that trailer. That was a solid trailer. I'm excited for that game, and I will be LPing that when it comes out on the 30th. So that should be fun times. And the final Dark Souls 2 DLC comes out on Wednesday. So we have that to look forward to. Other than that, I'm just kind of waiting for October. October is like one of the best months of the year. Like my second favorite month overall. You know, you get all the leaves changing, the smells, the sights, the sounds. It's just a good month, man. And then that's when I really just sink into like horror movies. Like I'll look up, you know, what's all come out recently, and I'll really just binge watch shit. And it's just a cozy, wonderful month. Really, really pumped for October. Now, some years, I'm not pumped for October because of Mangg's movies. Like, a year where I do 30 Mangg's movies in October, that's not a good October. I ain't about that. So, I won't be doing that this year. I can promise you, it's not gonna happen. No. There will be at least one. Because I did leave people on a bit of a cliffhanger last year, I believe. So I can't just leave it at that. So there'll be one, but I wouldn't expect more than that. I watch a lot of, you know, horror movies during October. Some are not great. So I sometimes maybe get a spark of inspiration where I need to make a video. Like when I watched ATM or something, or VHS for that matter. So it could happen, but I'm not planning on anything. Because I prefer to enjoy my Octobers. I prefer to enjoy my sanity. Wow. What else? I'm not sure what all games are coming out in October. I still have not played Destiny since I made that video. It's ridiculous. But I am planning on getting together with a couple friends online, and we're gonna play on Wednesday. So we'll see. I'll finally get, you know, some co-op experience on Destiny. I'll see what it's about. Apparently there's some shit going on with it where, like, players are just sitting in front of a cave and just farming it for days because that's the best way to get gear. Like, that's not what you want to have happen in your game. Oh, get stunned. Oh, perfect. Farming in games is occasionally a very peaceful, serene experience. Not all the time, but occasionally. Like old school RPGs, I can sit there for a while and grind some shit out. I'm okay with that. But staring at the entrance to a cave and just firing your gun over and over, that's not really grinding. That's attrition, I guess. That's not good. Oh, I walked right into that. Insta death. Oh, man. So, I don't know. Man, Destiny, like, I was kind of hyped for it. Nowhere near what other people were. I was interested in it because it was supposed to be like Borderlands. I really loved the original Borderlands. I was like, okay, give me more of that. Give me my friends. We'll have some fun. But Borderlands, when I played it, you know, I saw the appeal right away. I was like, okay, this is good. It's like an RPG, but with a hell of a lot of guns. And it's crazy. Destiny is just... It felt like it just went through like some heartless machine that just shit it out. I don't know. We'll see. You know, I'll give it a shot co-op, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else is all coming out in October. I don't keep a good record, I guess. I think. Well, I want to do a couple horror games during October if I can squeeze them in. I think The Evil Within comes out in October, so that could be an option. Alien Isolation might be coming out next. I mean, that would make sense, right? So we'll see. And then I have another game that I bought in a Steam sale a while back that I was going to do finally. What's it called? I don't remember what it's called. It's like a 2D, very dark, retro-styled zombie horror game. And I don't remember what it's called. Because I never played it. I bought it and was like, oh, I'll play this in October. I don't know. So there might be some horror game LPs going on. God, that's, oh man, with their buff, oh boy. Let's see what else. Well, in the world of board games, I bought a few more over the week. I think at this point I've picked up all the essentials, I guess, that I felt I needed to have based on my initial researches. And so now I went through on Board Game Geek and I marked everything that I owned, and I went through the top like 500 games listed there, and it was like, what am I thinking about? What would I like to have? Stuff like that. You can add it to lists. And so there are a few more games that I'm like, all right, I probably still need to buy these myself. I got a whole bunch that, you know, that'll be around Christmas and stuff like that. And then there are others that I want to do some more research on, or they're not in print right now, or they're a bit too pricey. I like games that board games that cost $70. Those are you buy where you're like, where you really need them, right? Like right now, I've played like 8 of my 35 games that I own, so I'm not about to buy a $70 game that I'll play in 6 months. So this week I bought Forbidden Desert, which is a Matt Leacock game, and Matt Leacock is most well known for Pandemic, which is a very big game. I mean, even casual gamers know about Pandemic. And I don't own Pandemic, although it's on my list. I will pick it up pretty soon. But Forbidden Desert appealed to me slightly more than Pandemic, because I've played the Pandemic iOS game. I was like, okay, it's cool, but you know, people talking about Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, I'm gonna pick up one of those, and it was like $17. Okay, so Forbidden Desert is a cooperative game in which basically you dish out random character cards, so everybody has their own character, and they're not like, there's no, it's very, the art style and everything, the graphic design of the game is very clean, minimalistic, I would say. It's very nice. It's a beautiful game. And so you get characters just like the explorer, or the archaeologist, or the meteorologist, or the water carrier, or whatever. And so you've crash landed in this desert, and your only way out is to find parts for this ancient airship. And you got to find the parts, get to where the airship is, and fly out of there before you know, dehydrate, die from dehydration, or the sandstorm just devours you. And so, oh my god, man. That's alright. I'm not trying to get anywhere, I'm just trying to talk, so it doesn't matter. And so, I really like, you know, cooperative games are a relatively new thing in the history of board games. Before, you know, 2000, they weren't really a thing. Nobody really thought of a cooperative board game. But now they're all over the place. Plenty of co-ops, and it's kind of cool. Because it's, I guess, the biggest problem with cooperative games, and it would be my biggest fault, is the concept of quarterbacking. Whereas one player basically dictates to everybody else what to do. And I would definitely be guilty of such a thing, I would say. But, like, it's not, like, I have to kind of fight it, you know? Because I have one of those outspoken personalities, you know, I'm the one talking, and I generally understand games the best because I'm buying the games, I read all the rules, I go through everything, I teach everybody. So, you know, I'm the one that's like, okay, we should do this, this, this. What do you guys think? Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, let's do it. And so, I don't really want it to be that way. You know, I want it to be a cooperative thing, not a management thing. But, I played Forbidden Desert with my mom. So it was just 2 players. And my mom is not much of a board gamer, you know. Like, she's played Monopoly, she's played Candyland and Life, and she likes, like, Schafskopf and stuff, you know, like old school stuff. This new world of board games is beyond her. So I was like, you know, we could play Forbidden Desert. It's not that complicated. I'm sure you can understand it, and it's cooperative, so you know I can kind of help you out because we're both trying to survive. And so we sat down, I set it all up, I explained the basic rules, and away we went. And cooperative games are really good for, you know, introducing other people to more designer board games, as it were, because there's no pressure for them to really act on their own. You know, the quarterbacking thing is a bit of a help, because it's not like you're trying to hide a hand. You know, you're not really needing to make decisions on your own, because we're one team here. So it was really good for that, and she had a blast. She loved it. We won both the games we played, partly because we played on a pretty easy level, and I think with less players it's probably easier, but I haven't played with more than 3. And but no, it was a lot of fun, and it's just a simple, elegant game, and she really enjoyed it. And then you can step up to a bit more complicated games. You know, I could probably play Pandemic with her and stuff like that, and there you go. So yeah, Forbidden Desert, I recommend it if you're looking for a simple cooperative game. There are simpler cooperative games, but I think it's hard to beat Forbidden Desert at that price point, with that kind of design and teamwork going on. It's just good stuff. I haven't played Forbidden Island. I went with Forbidden Desert over Forbidden Island because most people say it's slightly better. Forbidden Island might be better for younger audiences, but I couldn't say for sure. I need to kill this guy. No! Oh, God. So yeah, Forbidden Desert, recommend it. I also got Smash Up. Smash Up was something that I was looking at quite a bit. I was very curious about, and I ended up buying it because I wanted to buy some like little baggies to hold a bunch of components, and so Amazon had like 500 of them for $5. But it was an add-on item, so you have to spend like $25 in one order, and they'll ship it with. And so I was like, okay, I need like a $20 game. And I was scoping through, I was looking at a bunch of stuff, and finally I was like, Smash Up, fine, whatever, Smash Up. And so I haven't played this with anybody else yet, but I ran through a demo myself to see how it played. I really like the concept of it. I really like the concept of putting together multiple, factions, zombies and pirates, robots, wizards, all that kind of stuff, and getting some weird combinations. I'm not entirely sure about the execution, though, because it's not like the way they bill it, the way they advertise it and stuff is you can play as ninja dinosaurs or, robot pirates and stuff like that. You're not really playing with robot pirates. You're playing with robots and pirates. They're distinct decks, that you just shuffle together. So they don't really modify each other ever, for the most part. But again, I haven't played this game, so I'm not entirely sure. But, they occasionally combo off of each other in some ways, depending on what decks you get. And, what the fuck? Oh, I blocked it! He was too slow, that's amazing. Oh, actually, he might have bounced off the wall, that was good. I just saved my own life somehow. It's another game for 2 to 4 players, and I'm not really sure when I'm going to bust it out. Eventually, I might get some people to play it. But right now, in the 2 to 4 player market, I got some better choices. At this point, I'd probably rather try out Dominion or the next game that I'll be talking about. I have a bunch of things you can do with 2 to 4 players, so I don't know when I'll get to play Smash Up. But I do like the concept, so I'm curious to see how it plays out with other people, with everything going on. It's got a bunch of expansions, including a... See, this pisses me off. You guys know me. They have the obligatory Cthulhu expansion set. And that just sums it all up, man. It's not the Lovecraft expansion set. No, it's the Cthulhu expansion set. Like, God. Why do you have to be the way that you are? You just diminish Lovecraft's entire body of work to just... Cthulhu! Nothing I can do about it. I would still probably buy it if I like Smash Up, because it is Lovecraft, even though they don't want to acknowledge it. So yeah, Smash Up. I can't recommend it yet because I haven't really played it. I also bought, in another card game, Sentinels of the Multiverse. Now this game is comic book themed, and it's a cooperative game. And the comic book theme, it's not DC, it's not Marvel, it's not any of that. It's their own shit. It's their own universe. But there features a lot of traditional comic book analogs. So there's a superhero known as the Legacy, who's basically Superman. There's a chick known as Tachyon, who's basically a hot lesbian version of the Flash. There's Haka, who's basically the Hulk. The Bunker, Iron Man. There's a Psylocke character. You can get the picture. And so it's a cooperative card game. So everybody gets their own deck of cards based on the superhero that they pick. So of course I pick Tachyon, because I'm gonna be the Flash, whatever it's called. And so it's a fixed deck, so you don't buy booster packs or anything like that. It's not a deck builder. It's a fixed deck based on that character. It's not gonna really change. And each superhero, their deck is kind of based off not really a gimmick, but like a theme. Like Tachyon is all her cards are based around kind of like bursts of speed, basically. Like in the game that I played last night, I would have like very few cards, and I would slowly build up my cards, and then eventually when I had the right combo in my hand, I would just let it all out in one swift kick, you know, and it would just decimate whatever was in front of me, and then I would be back to having no cards in my hand. Whereas another player was playing as like Tempest, and he was all about just amassing a shit ton of cards. Like, I had 1 or 2 cards in my hand, he had 20, you know. And so each kind of, there were 4 of us, and each character played so distinctly. It was very cool. And I really liked that aspect. And so it's for 2 to 5 players. You all pick a superhero. And then you pick a villain. The base game comes with 4. And they're all kind of, you know, very comic booky villains. And then you pick an environment in which where you're fighting this villain, you know. So there's one where it's a big city. There's one where it's a Mars base. The one that we did last night was like Insula Primalis, which is basically like Jurassic Park, so dinosaurs are roaming around and shit. And there's the ruins of Atlantis in the base game, at least. And so every turn the villain is gonna pull out some shit. When you're like, after the villain turn is you're done, you're just like, what the fuck? There's no way we can win. What the hell? This is bullshit. And then the heroes go through their turns. And so you're playing cards, you're using powers, you know, and again, there's all sorts of different combos. So Tachyon might play a card that says draw a card, play a card, or, you know, it's all about just cycling through shit. And one card that I really liked was called Pushing the Limits, and the artwork was like her just running around the planet. And that let me play an additional card and draw an additional card, but at the start of every one of my turns I would take damage, so I'm really just like pushing myself. And this game is just so thematic. Like, we felt like superheroes. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, and again, every character felt distinct. So we had one character playing the bunker, and he was just like gearing up. He went into like, you know, turret mode and shit, and he was stacking equipment, and he was tanking for us, and he was getting reduced damage. And so we were just redirecting shit to him, and he was just feeling the pain. And I was just like, you know, I wasn't getting hit very much, but I was just kind of biding my time, and then I would just unleash this burst of speed. And then another guy was playing the Tempest, and so he was just unleashing lightning storms on everything, and he was like our main damage dealer. And then we had one person playing the Wraith, and he was like really support, so he was able to like look at the upcoming villain cards, and so we could decide which one we want on the top, which one we want to throw to the bottom. So he was really kind of helping us out there. And we just had a blast with that game, man. Because, like, every turn, after the villain turn went, and the environment, we were just, it was like a puzzle, you know? It was like, okay, let's sit here and just think this shit through. What cards do you got? How much damage can you do this turn? And, you know, okay, what kind of support, can you get rid of this environment? What can we do about that, you know? And it was just like, it was like a superhero huddle at the start of every, you know, hero turn. Where we're all just like, the villain's over there, there's dinosaurs rampaging around, and we're just in a huddle trying to figure this out. And then it's all, okay, break, and then we all, you know, just go crazy and do our shit. And it was a blast. We really enjoyed that game. Co-ops are fun shit. And the theme for that game is really good. I can't wait to play it again. And I like all the combinations. You know, you get 4 different villains, but then you get all the different environments. And environments are cool because they can both help you or hurt you. And then all the different teams of heroes that you can combine. And we really didn't have that great of a team for the boss we went up against. We went up against Omnitron, who can get rid of all your equipment cards pretty easily. And we had a couple heroes who relied a lot on equipment cards, so they got screwed over hard multiple times. And so Studs, who was playing the Wraith, He was role playing his character very well, even though I don't think he meant to. He was very much a Debbie Downer. He's like, we're fucked, man. There's no way we can win this. This game over. I hate this game. But then like 3 turns later, he'd be like, man, this game's awesome. Yes. And so finally, like, we were all down to just hanging on to threads of life near the end. And finally, Tachyon, I got to fucking shine, man. And I was like, all right, peep this, homies. I'm about to do this. And so over the course of 2 turns, I did like 32 damage and just laid the smackdown on Omnitron, and we just barely won. And I was like, that is so freaking comic booky. It's amazing. Yeah, that was really solid game. I recommend it. I'm definitely going to be looking at expansions for that. Okay. Another game that we played last night is a simple card game that I think is better than Love Letter. It's not quite as ultra portable as Love Letter is. It doesn't come in his own cute little bag, and there are some coins. There's a bunch of coins that you have to use, so you know that's an extra component. But it's pretty close, and I feel like it's a better game than Love Letter. I still love Love Letter, but Coup is really amazing. COUP. So this is a game. It's 15 cards. That's all it is. So 1 less than Love Letter. And at the start of the game, you deal out 2 cards randomly to every player. It's 2 to 6 players. And you get 2 coins to every player. And there are 5 different types of cards in the game. So there's 3 of each card. And they are the... They are the Duke, the Assassin, the Ambassador, the Captain, and the Contessa. And each card does something different. The Duke lets you take 3 coins as your action. You get 1 action per turn. So the Duke lets you take 3 coins, and you want coins. Coins are good. The Assassin, well, the Captain lets you steal 2 coins from another player. And he also lets you block stealing. The Ambassador lets you also block stealing. Or he lets you exchange your 2 cards with 2 cards from the rest of the deck. The Assassin, it lets you pay 3 coins to kill one of the other player's cards. They call it influence because you can exchange out your cards. So basically, you have 2 influence, and then your assassinator watered down to 1, and then if you're removed again, you're out of the round. So assassin lets you pay 3 coins and try and assassinate somebody, and the Contessa lets you block assassinations. Pretty simple, right? The trick is that you don't necessarily have to have a card to say that you have a card. Because your cards are hidden from all the other players. They don't know what you have. So you might have the Duke and the Captain, and you say, I'm going to assassinate you. And you pay 3 coins. And then they or any other player can either let it happen, or they can challenge you. Which means that they don't think you have that card. And then if they challenge you, you have to either show your card that you're claiming you have, or if you don't have it, you have to lose an influence. So you have to get rid of one of your cards and show it face up. Now, if they don't want to challenge you, they might claim that it's blocked. So you block assassination with Contessa, or you block stealing with something else. And then, you know, they don't have to have that card to say that they want to block, you know. So then you can challenge, or somebody else can challenge, that you don't think that they have what the card that lets them block. So you're trying to assassinate them. You don't think they have the Contessa, so you challenge it. And then if they have the Contessa, you lose an influence because you lost the challenge. If they don't have the Contessa, that means they lied, they lost the challenge, and they still get assassinated. So they basically are out of the game. In like the 4 hours that we played a coup last night, I don't think I ever had somebody lie about having a Contessa. Maybe we did. It's very risky if you don't have the Contessa and you claim that you do on a block, because if they call you out on it, you're out of the game. Just done. Because that's 2 influence. So it's a very simple game, again, like Love Letter, but this added aspect of the bluffing and claiming that you have something when you might not, or telling the truth when other people don't think that you are. That just adds so much to it that I really enjoy. And so we played for like maybe an hour or so of coup as like a little filler. Then we played Sentinels, and then we played like 2 more hours or something of coup till like 4 in the morning. It was just so damn fun. Just like, because it's not a game of it's not really even a game of bluffing. Because generally, people have an okay enough poker face when money isn't involved. You know? Like, I don't know really whether to believe somebody or not, but you're not going to base your challenges on somebody, you know, they're a bad poker face. Because they could easily just be pretending to have a bad poker face, so you do challenge them, but they actually do have the card because they just want to, you know, fuck you over. You understand what I'm saying? That definitely happened multiple times. So really, it's more of like an observation game, a deduction game. You know, you're watching other people's actions. And you're watching basically what's going on in their head and what they're doing over the course of a few turns. And then you're trying to figure out where they fuck up. You know, okay, he just, you know, turn 1, he claimed he had the Duke, he took his tax, he took his 3 coins. And then somebody tried to steal from him, and he said that he blocked it. And nobody challenged him. So if he's telling the truth, that means he has a Duke and a captain or an ambassador. Okay? But then turn 2, he says he wants to assassinate somebody. He's lying at some point. Not all of that can be true. So the question is, do you call him out on that assassinate, or did he lie about taxing, or did he lie about, you know, blocking a steal? And so that's where it comes into play then. And it is just beautiful how it all comes together. We had plenty of laughs at just kind of the really amazing plays that people pulled off, but then also the incredibly dumb plays where you call somebody, you challenge somebody, and you don't even think about, you know, what's really going on, or you try and get away with something that is so obvious, and you're just hoping that nobody caught on to it. You know, where again you're trying to do that where you tax, and then you let somebody steal from you because you don't have a captain or an ambassador, and then the next turn you try and exchange cards. And it's like, wait a minute, why would he let somebody steal from him if he had the ambassador? Because now he's trying to exchange cards, so they'll call you out on it. But then they really did have the ambassador, and they let somebody steal from them just so people will think that they didn't have the ambassador, so they'll challenge them and they'll fail. That's the kind of shit that happens, and it's just awesome. I highly recommend Coup. Definitely get it if you're looking for a little filler card game. And we played it for hours, and we could have played it for hours more if it wasn't 4 a.m. So, you know, that's the sign of a good filler game, where it can become the main attraction, if you want. So yeah, Coup, awesome stuff. How long have I... 40 minutes. Oh, man. What else? Oh, okay. So another game, another very famous game in the board gaming world, you know, beyond Monopoly and Risk and stuff like that, is a game called Diplomacy. And Diplomacy is a very interesting game, I guess. It is a game of diplomacy. There's no real question about it. That's what it is. The game board is a map of Europe, and so it is a map and a game of European warfare, more or less. I guess Asia might be involved. I don't remember, but you know, over there. And every player, I think it features up to like 8. Every player controls a specific country over there, or empire. It might be the Ottomans, it might be the British, the French, whatever. And you want to basically rule Europe. You want to take it all over, conquest. And the trick is that you can never take over another person's area on your own. It's impossible. It's been a long time since I played. I only played it once, so you might be able to support yourself. But I remember it being pretty clear that you're never going to win really on your own until the end, I guess. But, so the point is diplomacy. You need to negotiate and deal and make alliances with other people. And so, at the start of every turn, you basically meet with other people in private, in your home or whatever. You go into other rooms. In real life. It's not on the board. It's crazy. And you make alliances, and you trade information, and you make compromises and deals and all sorts of crap like that. And you meet with one guy, you get some information, and then you might go to another guy and sell that information for the promise of an alliance and stuff like that. And when I played with 6 people, I want to say. And I really liked that aspect. I really did. I was so naive at the time, and if I played it again, I would definitely play it differently than I did. But I really enjoyed the meeting and the dealing and the information and all that kind of aspect, because we all had our maps of the game board on pieces of paper, so we were all making markings, and we would go, and you kind of feel like a general and stuff when you're pointing in your map and be like, okay, he's going over to the Ottoman Empire, he's planning on moving and supporting here, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to give me for this information, blah, blah, blah. That was really cool. Problem is, the game is shit. And by the game, I mean the actual mechanics. The process and the method of conquering and supporting and doing. You write all your orders on a piece of paper in a very cryptic shorthand. And then you all reveal at the same time and go about your actions. And so when you all reveal and you go through your actions, you find out who actually did make an alliance with you, or who just pretended to, and who backstabbed. And Diplomacy is pretty much the best game if you really hate somebody and you want to never see them again. Because you will hate somebody after playing Diplomacy. You will hold a grudge for a little while, at the very least. Even if you're not the type of person that holds grudges normally. It'll happen. That's what Diplomacy does. But yeah, the problem is I just didn't care for the actual mechanics. I liked all the dealing and stuff, although I was very naive. I thought that, for some reason, I thought that a guy would actually team up with me instead of his fiancée, and I was sorely proven wrong. But I liked the concept of Diplomacy. But I guess I would play it again if really pressured. Like I had a group of people that were like, "Hey, we're playing Diplomacy. Do you want to come over and play?" I guess I would join. I mean, it does take like 10 hours to play, and again, the mechanics suck. But I like the meeting and stuff. So I was looking for another game in that aspect. You know, a game that let me do the secret dealing and the compromising and the alliances and all that, but the mechanics had to be much better. And so I settled on a Game of Thrones, the board game. This is a very well-received game. It's definitely another big game. Not as long as Diplomacy, I don't think, but you know, it could take up to 6 hours, I hear. And it's set in the Game of Thrones universe, of course, which I really enjoy. A lot of people really enjoy nowadays, so that's a lot easier to get people into it. Hey, it's Game of Thrones! You get to play as the Starks, or the Lannisters, or the Targaryens, if you want. I don't know. So that was really good. That was a good aspect. And the biggest thing, though, was the mechanics are much more fleshed out. There's a lot more to do, and you can kind of support yourself a little bit if you really want. If you really want to just focus on your own combat power and just build yourself up as a standalone thing, you could, but most countries in history I don't think really do that. You know, there's generally alliances made, and so it just really appealed to me that there was a lot more to do. You know, you can vie for the Iron Throne, and then whoever has the Iron Throne has a bit of, you know, a bit of authority, a bit of respect. They you know, people might be more likely to make a deal with you because you can promise them more than another person that isn't in control of the Iron Throne. And so I really like that. There's the fiefdoms, and there's the court, you know, and there's wildling attacks, and you can collect taxes, and there's cards. There's freaking cards. And these cards modify combat in some ways, so, you know, you play it, a little bit of Cosmic Encounter, kind of, I guess. You know, you might reveal you have Eddard Stark, and so that could massively change the result of a combat. And so it just seemed like, okay, here's Diplomacy, but for modern days. We've improved it. So that's what interests me. So I don't know when I'll ever get to play this, because it is a big, massive game. You have to have the right group that's ready to sit there for, you know, maybe up to 6 hours and do an epic game of Game of Thrones. But when I do finally get to play, it should be pretty awesome. And then the final game. And I'm sad that it took me so long to talk about this, because this was supposed to be my main topic. But I bought Descent, 2nd edition. And Descent is a game, it's a dungeon crawler, much like Super Dungeon Explorer, but it's a lot more based on Dungeons and Dragons. It's got a much more serious theme, and you're not just, the objectives aren't always just kill every monster. You know, there's varied objectives. Collect this loot, get this, you know, get this sacred ring or whatever, you know, defeat this specific monster before this happens, you know, stuff like that. And I wasn't planning on picking this up. I debated between, and originally I debated between this and Super Dungeon Explorer, and I went with the other one. Because I figured, if I want something close to D&D, I'll just play D&D. But I did pick it up because Ziggy came up to me the other day with a crazy idea. He messaged me on Facebook, and he's like, wouldn't it be cool? I know, I was going to die. I don't know why I just stalled that out for so long. He says, wouldn't it be cool if there was a game where you got to, like, play as spies infiltrating into an enemy base? And, you know, there's a player plays as the enemy, and he gets to control all the guards and, you know, stuff like that, the cameras and the security systems and stuff like that. And I'm like, what, you mean like a dungeon crawler? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, huh. Well, I don't think there's anything like that. Somebody out there, if you're really knowledgeable about board games, please correct me. But I've never heard of a spy-themed dungeon crawler where somebody plays as the enemy base. Dungeon crawlers, I think, are a somewhat new concept for the most part. I mean, maybe 20 years old. So I don't think there's been. So I was like, yeah, I'm not sure if that exists. And he's like, well, you know, what if we design it? I'm like, huh. And he's brought up board game designing in the past a couple times. And I basically shut him down because I was like, there's no way we could ever do it. Like, there's so many, it's so much more intricate than, you know, like writing a book. And it's like, we don't play enough board games to be designers. But here I was like, huh, you know, maybe we could do that. Because I could start picturing it in my head. And then we came up with the concept of another player who plays as mission intelligence. So you'd have up to maybe 3 spies that would, you know, they'd each have their own character, their own miniature, and they would be the ones going into the base and trying to extract some intelligence or get some hostages out or plant some bombs or whatever. You'd have the enemy, who would be controlling all the security, the guards, the dogs, the cameras, whatever, traps. And then you'd have another player who'd be playing as mission intelligence. And this player would be supporting the spies from the outside. So basically think of him as the Chloe O'Brien to the spies' Jack Bauer. So he'd be feeding them intel. Because the spies wouldn't know, you know, what's on the other side of this door, perhaps, unless they have a certain equipment card that lets them look under it. But the mission intelligence might be able to spend some of their, you know, currency, influence, or whatever we might want to call it, and he might say, okay, I'm going to tell you what's in this room. Or he might say, you know, I can remotely shut down this camera. Or if one of the spies gets captured, he might have to spend a certain chunk of his currency to get the guy out of the, you know, a diplomatic thing or something like that. And so it'd be a support character. And so that I really feel like I haven't seen too much. You know, plenty of dungeon crawlers have the one versus many. But the kind of support role going on there, that feels pretty unique. And so we started really kind of brainstorming about this. And I think we might really try and design this. We settled pretty quickly on the name Infiltration. Partly because I don't think it's been taken by anything, and that's a strong plus. And so we figured kind of like somewhat of a 1960s-esque spy theme, but a bit more cartoonish. And a bit more exaggerated. So we're not entirely constrained to 1960s technology. We can go a little crazy with the kind of gadgets and stuff. So if you want an explosive shoe or something, I don't know if that would be in it, but you understand what I'm saying. It doesn't restrain us as much. And we're going to try and hammer this out and maybe get a prototype going on just like scraps of paper and stuff. And maybe like next summer try and kickstart it. And so I picked up Descent because I was like, this is the closest thing that you're kind of talking about. We're kind of discussing a re-themed Descent, but we're gonna add more to it than just that would be. The mission intelligence being a big part of that. And so yeah, I picked up Descent because I think if you want to design board games the number one thing is you have to play board games. You have to know what's good, what's bad, and all that. Just like if you want to write books, you better freaking read some books. If you want to make movies, you better watch some movies. So I don't think board game design is any different. And so I'm definitely interested in this. I like I said, I was the naysayer in thinking we could design a board game, but this might be possible. I don't know if it'll be good. We're way too early for me to say anything like that. It could just be a wash in the sea of dungeon crawlers, of terrible board games. But it's a theme that is underrepresented, and I think Ziggy and I are a couple of creative guys, and we might be able to do something with this. So let me know what you guys think about that specifically, infiltration, because that could be, you know, something in the future. If you've played board games and you maybe could throw out some ideas that you think would be cool in a spy-themed dungeon crawler, we'd love to hear them. But that's, you know, that's a ways off, and probably we won't really start prototyping or anything majorly until winter. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. Yeah, board game designer is not anything I really ever imagined I would try to be, but sometimes shit happens like that, you know. If we get a prototype going and we test it a whole bunch, we feel like it's an entertaining product, and, you know, we get a really decent prototype made up, go on Kickstarter, it might appeal to people. Board games are on the rise, so apparently I can't backstab. Damn it. There we go. Yeah, I know this was mostly board game discussion this time. I mean, that's kind of what I'm into now, so that's what's gonna go on. I don't really have much to talk about as far as what's, you know, fun party stories or anything like that. My buddy met a girl on Tinder, and for their first date, he invited her out to a bar, and then he invited her to hang out with all his buddies at another bar, and she hung out with us till like 2 a.m., and that was the first time they ever met in person. I don't know what he was thinking, because you don't introduce your date to me right off the bat. I just scare people away. That's what I'm good at. I bring out the worst in women. You don't want to spoil it right away. But she was nice, although she did like Dark Knight Rises, so I told her to dump her. You're not gonna deal with that shit. Although she hung out with us again the other night, Friday night, and every time she would go to the bathroom and come back out, her top would be a little bit lower. And then she would she started it may have just been my imagination, but I wasn't drunk, so I don't know. But she would start really pushing her boobs together. Like, she would cross her arms and she would get where like the purse strap goes right in between, and then she would like stand behind her chair and just lean right up against it in the perfect position. And I'm like, what are you trying to do here, you know? She wasn't standing next to my, well, she was standing next to my buddy, so he wasn't getting a view of it. Only I was getting a view of it. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Harlot. And she could handle her alcohol better than better than her date, so that was interesting. We figure most girls are kind of scared away by all their drinking, but all she kept saying was, "My sister pours our drinks really, really strong." Like that, she said that like 6 times. I'm like, oh, well, it must be fucking true then. Oh boy, girls, right? Anyways, board games and girls. Maybe that should be the name of this series. That'll attract viewers. Wait, board games and girls? Is that like girls playing board games? No, no, no. What are you thinking? All right, so that's gonna wrap up another episode of Hanging with Mangg. Let me know what you think, especially about that infiltration idea. You know, I've already had one failed Kickstarter under my belt, so we're just gonna keep that going maybe. But yeah, all right. So my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg, and I'll see you fine folks in the next episode.